Hey guys, Garage here, and to my left I have the Smorobot C1 tank pool vacuum. And this company Smorobot, who I'd never heard of, reached out to me and they're like, "Hey Garage, we would love for you to review our Smorobot." And I'm like, "Hey Smorobot, what the hell is a Smorobot?" And they were like, "Pool vacuum." So I'm like, "Sweet!" But I don't have a pool anymore because I had cheapy above ground pool forever, and I finally pulled the trigger and I decided we're gonna have a real pool. Well, not a real pool. Above ground pools are real pools. We had a ton of fun in those, but an in ground pool put in, and I was right in the middle of all that construction work and all that crap going on. And I was like, "Hey, Smorobot, can you wait a few months till this thing gets done? And I'd love to review your pool vacuum." And they said, "Garage, yes, we will do that. We will wait." And they did. And messaged them a little bit later, and I said, "My pool is all done. I'd love to review this pool vacuum." And they sent it, and here it is, right on my desk. And I've already been putting it to the test. I've already been having fun with it, checking it out. And this thing is a beast. It weighs like 30 pounds. It has like a 3-hour battery life on it. And this is so light years beyond that little cheapy seagull aper thing that I had eons ago. Like, this thing is a beast. It's got a big scrub brush on it. It can climb walls. It can scrub your pool tiles. It gets all the floors. And this is just, to be straight up, this is their base model. So it doesn't have any sensors or anything. It just kind of does a dummy pattern. But in watching it, it gets pretty much the whole pool. It does a great job in that 3-hour time period. But anyways, I'm going to show you guys some video. I set up a camera so it can get the whole pool, so you can see like the pattern that it runs and what it does. And I set up some tests. I wanted to see what it could pick up. And yeah, let's get into this thing. And we're going to take a little bit closer look at this Smorobot. Now, I got to tell a little funny story real quick. So yesterday I had family over. And my sister, she knows all the tech stuff and crazy stuff I do. And she sees the Smorobot on the floor, and she's like, "Oh, God, you're not building a BattleBot, are you?" And I'm like, "I want to build a BattleBot, but what are you talking about?" And she goes, "That thing on the floor, it looks like a BattleBot. Are you building a BattleBot?" It's like, "No, that's a Smorobot. That's a pool vacuum." And she's like, "Oh." Anyways, that was pretty funny to me. So, yeah, let's get into this. Let's check this thing out and get to some video. Checking out this Super Smorobot. It has this big roller brush set up on the front. Now, each roller, like this one, is tied to the motors on this tank tread, so when it goes forward and backwards, this roller spins. And this one, of course, is tied to this one. This is like a rubber, you can see the stretchy there, a kind of a rubber scrubby brush on this. And these are rubber tank treads, obviously, because that's how they can turn. But these things are pretty darn heavy duty. This has this crazy LED light strip, RGB light strip on the front, and it actually tells you what it's doing by the light strip. Like, you can look down in a pool and see it. Like, when the white light turns on the side, you know it's turning left. When it turns on the right, you know it's turning right. Depending on the color, you can tell it's going to go forward or backwards. Like, it is a wild thing that this light thing is telling you everything it is doing. And this is like close encounters watching this thing, but it is hilarious. It works really, really well. We only have two settings on the Smorobot C1 tank. We've got the standard setting, which does climbing and floors, and then you have floors only mode. This guy right here in the back is so powerful, this impeller. And this is what actually creates a suction, pushes the bot down, and lets it climb vertically all over walls and stuff. So that is a very, very powerful motor. I mean, even down like 6 feet in the pool, when this thing turns on, you can see the surface of the water just boil because it's moving so much water through it, which again is really, really cool. We have a charging port here on the side, and so you have to screw it on really tight. It's got a rubber gasket, but that is your charging port. It takes about 200 something minutes to charge it at 80 watts. And this thing, again, I mentioned it before, but it runs for a full 3 hours. Like, that is some crazy battery life. We have a very large filter here, and I'm going to show some pictures of what I got out of the filter the first time I ran this, and it was pretty darn impressive. I can say that I had some problems with the actual handle here opening this filter door when I first got it. This was so stuck, I could not get it open. And I found out after yanking on it, pulling on it, getting it open and closed a few times, those hiccups have all kind of gone away. And now it seems to open relatively easy. But if you pull up and try to pull on this thing at the same time, that's a no-go. You actually kind of have to push down with your thumb, be a little bit gentle, and then it pops right up without any force at all. So it may just be a user thing, but that's it. So tilting this guy up, this is a very, very generous size filter basket. It's actually freaking huge. And the way the currents work inside this thing, it actually can kind of go from suck to blow or do other stuff, and it rearranges the filter or the stuff that's been filtered in here so it's never fully clogged. On the bottom, you can see a rubber flapper. That's the suction port on the bottom, and that's how it gets everything up in it. I'm actually not going to be taking old Smorobot apart on this video. I usually take everything apart, but this one has been completely adhesive sealed with silicone, which means I'm really going to have to crack the case on this. If I ever have to do a troubleshooting video or it does fail for whatever reason, then I will go ahead and crack the case, but I'm not going to do that on this video. There's just no need. I want to see how long this is going to last as is, and if I ever have to do troubleshooting, then troubleshooting we will do. Now let me see if I can get this back in. One-handed on camera. There we go. And that's it for Smorobot. Now, like I said, this thing is pretty cool. So when you turn it on, like I told you, it's got the Close Encounters of the Third Kind light sequencing that goes on. So this thing acts all kinds of crazy. The battery's dead right now, but all you do to get it going is you're going to flip it on. It turns on these super bright lights on the front of it, and they will go into a different sequence mode. And what you're waiting for is basically the third LED in-ish on each side. Is when it's ready. Actually, it's telling me battery's dead, or it's going to kill me. I'm not sure which one. I don't think I've seen the red Cyclops before. That's kind of freaking me out. But once those lights start flashing on the side, yellow, that means it's ready to submerge. And then you can dunk it in the pool, drop it, let it go all the way to the bottom, and then it's going to take off and do its thing. That's how Smorobot works. Again, coming up here, standard mode, which is walls and floor. And then you have floor-only mode, so it will not climb walls in floor-only mode. Yeah, let's get on to the video and see how this thing did scrubbing my pool. Let's get Smorobot turned on and ready to go. Gonna flip the switch to standard mode, which is floor and wall. We gotta wait for the lights to flash some type of a yellow pattern. Now they're blue. Gotta wait for the yellow. Boom, there we go. We're good to go. Made the mistake the other night of starting this in the Baja over there. And didn't work too well because it does the wall cleaning first. So we're gonna let her go. She's thinking. I sped this part of the video up to 4x speed because it takes a really long time before a Smorobot starts functioning once it hits the bottom of the pool. You might almost think it's not going to work because it takes so long, but it does end up working. It just takes some time before it says, oh, I'm ready to go. I've got all my air out. Oop. The upper fan turned on. You can see the big poof of water there. Kind of venting all of the air out of the inside. And there it goes. I wanted to show this part of the video. The video quality is crap with the RGB LEDs going. I didn't realize it was that bad until I went back and reviewed the footage. But I wanted you guys to see that the Smorobot can climb steps. It can get up into the Bajas. It can get your benches. It can do those things, which I didn't expect it to do. And it did those things. So let's move on. So here I turned the lights to white instead of the disco RGB color just so you could see the movements of Smorobot. Now I have sped this up to 5x. It was on a time lapse anyway, so it's going really, really, really fast. Again, Smorobot runs for 3 full hours. So the video I'm going to condense here for you to show the entire pattern is really 3 hours of cleaning. Um, I would say pretty much the only thing I've noticed with Smorobot is it has some really inefficient pauses that I don't understand. And in this video, it looks like they're kind of short when it suddenly stops and it just sits for just a second or two. But in reality, it stops and sits for a long time. Like when you're watching it, it's just sitting and sitting and sitting, and then it decides to make a movement, and it sits and sits and then makes a movement. But none of that really matters because it gets everything clean. It just takes time. Once it gets done with doing the wall cleaning mode, it does switch over to floor only, and it just runs floor for the remainder of its kind of its cycle. And you can see that here as it's just running back and forth and going all over the floor. So yeah, let's just keep watching. You can see what Smorobot does for the remainder of the time period. So coming up here, I'm going to show you just some video of what came out of the filter the very first time I ran Smorobot. That's when I screwed up the video and it was RGB and doing the whole club scene thing. That's when the pool was actually quite dirty. But let's take a look at what we got out of the filter on that first run. This thing got everything. It's got leaves, bugs, and it has a lot of Pebble Tech in there because we're still brushing the pool down. It's a virtually new pool. So there's a lot of Pebble Tech shed kind of coming off all on the bottom of the pool. But yeah, I'm really happy with this performance. So looking the next day after the Smorobot has run, and there is not a single leaf or anything in the pool, despite its kind of inefficient behavior. I think the total run time makes up for it, and it got everything. Like, this is really nice. Alright, so let's discuss a topic that most people don't even realize is a thing, and that is the massive power savings and cutting your utility bill that you can realize with a robot pool vacuum. Again, most people don't even know it's possible. So with my pool setup, I don't have in-floor cleaning because that was really expensive, but what I had is basically a pool vacuum on a hose, and it had to run off the pump, which is a variable speed pump. Pentair, I forget the model number, like a 3 horsepower, but it's a monster pump, right? Now I had to run that pool vacuum, and I had to run the skimmer at the same time. And in order to do that effectively, I had to run that pump at 90%. And that is about 1,700 watts of draw. That pump absolutely drinks power. Now, when I switched over to Smorobot, which I only have to throw in every couple of days, and it cleans the floor and cleans everything up nicely, then I was able to take that all the way from 90% down to 60%. And you're like, Raj, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it is. Okay, so that took it from 90% at 1,700 watts, clear down to 700-ish watts at 60%. That is 1,000 watts of power savings. That's 10 cents every hour, at least in my summer rates right now here in Arizona. That adds up really quickly and helps with ROI and helps justify the cost of buying a robotic pool vacuum. Yeah, just leaving the hose in there and having it run just, a standard style pool vacuum, that's cool and all. That's fine. Gets the job done, but you are sucking up a ton of power if you have a setup like mine that you can dial in and tweak with a variable speed pump. So anyways, I wanted to give you guys that little PSA. That is some major power savings off your bill if you tune everything right. So let's wrap up this video review of the Smorobot C1 tank. go down to the video description below, and there's going to be a link to Amazon. You guys can check out what other people are saying about this bot as well, not just what I'm saying. I'm giving my straight up honest opinion. Now, I think back to the other pool robotic vacuum that I own, that little ape or seagull thing or whatever, and that thing did a great job for what it was. I mean, it cleaned the above ground pool we had, it did its thing, whatever, did okay. But when I compare it to the functionality of this, which right now this is barely more money than that thing was new, this thing is light years beyond that. Like, we're not even on the same playing field. The battery life of this thing is insane, like 3 hours compared to like 40 minutes on that thing. The scrubby brush on the front of this thing, the ability to scale walls and actually clean like the edge and all that. I don't even know what to say. Like, this thing is so much better in every way, shape, or form than my previous robotic pool vacuum. I mean, this thing really gets the job done. It's very, very powerful, and it's very simplistic in use. You flip the switch on, you drop it in, it sinks to the bottom, and it does its thing, and then you forget about it. That's I mean, well, forget about it for 3 hours, anyways. Come back and it's all done. There's no sensors on this thing really, other than I guess like a tilt sensor. It can tell when it goes up on a slope. It knows it's going to try to climb a wall, and then it says, okay, don't climb the wall, and it comes back down. That's really the only sensor that I think it has in it. Now, looking for things to complain about, just from a pure like engineering standpoint, I watch its movements in the pool, and it's really slow to react and kind of dumb. Like, once it backs up and it has to think about what its next movement is, it feels like it sits there forever before its next movement and does the next thing. And it almost seems like the sledgehammer approach to fix that was just give it some insane battery life, so those little inefficiencies doesn't matter. My pool isn't big. It's more like a play pool size. It's like 8,000 gallons, and this thing, probably I could see this easily doing a pool double that size and doing an okay job at it. There's just so much battery life on it. And trying to think if there's any other cons to this thing, really. I would have to say the weight, especially once it's waterlogged and all the air is out of it. When you go to pick it up, it comes with like this little pawl thing. It's like a hand that puts on a pool pole, and you hook it and you pick it up. Getting it up to the surface is just fine, but once you got to lift it up out of the water, if it's in a place, like if I had to lean over one of the walls of my pool and then pull it out, it could probably be hard for some people, especially because you're using that little tool to lift it up. When it's fully waterlogged, it's got at least 2 gallons of water in it, and that thing puts this thing almost 50 pounds. Like, it's heavy, and I don't think they can get around that, really, and that's okay. I mean, you've got battery weight, you've got the physical size of the machine, you've got all that water on the internal side of it. All of that I can totally forget, but I just want to let you guys know it can get quite heavy to lift out. For some people, that could be a problem. Those are the only cons I can think of. Like I said, look at that video description. The price point is crazy, and it cleans your pool amazing. I actually would love to see how this thing does in an above ground pool. I mean, we're doing the in ground here now, and it does that no problem. But I think in above ground, like, this is almost overkill. But I think you kind of want overkill, because all the vacuums are coming in this price range. If this can do all of that, that's amazing. I mean, like I said, I get blown away by tech and how fast it evolves. And no, this is not going to win any robot fighting combat championships or anything like that. Not a BattleBot, but it does look pretty dang cool. So Smorobot, I'm keeping this bot. I actually really like it, and plan to use it just nonstop. Check the video description for the pinned comment. If I ever have a problem, you're going to see it in that pinned comment, and I will describe and tell you guys what I've run into. I've only charged it and used it probably 4 times now so far, but it's just doing it. It's getting the job done, and this will be my sole pool vacuum until somebody else sends me a pool vacuum and I get to test that out. But for right now, this is it. This is what I'm going to use. Smorobot. Love this thing, and I hope this helps you guys out with your decision. But like I said, those are the only negatives, and all the pros outweigh those negatives big time. So hope this helps you guys out. I will catch you later. Peace out.